Camera number 377 is the Yashica FR2. Already done the FR. It is an aperture priority only, in fact, with bulb and flash settings available. The camera requires batteries to operate all of its functions, and we will go ahead and put some batteries in, shall we? Which we do by opening up the battery compartment. So the battery is a 4LR44, so that's 6 volts, and we place the positive terminal, which is actually indicated on the lid of the battery chamber, uppermost, and then we put it down into the unit, and then we can close the lid and lock it in place. While we're on the base here, we can see that there's provision for a motor wind, which I don't have, and then we have the option of the little button that releases the film advance, so that we can then rewind our film, which we do manually. So looking at the front of the camera, we have the lens release button here where my finger is, and we rotate it. The mount is the Contax Yashica lens mount. I have the DSB 50mm 1.9, one of my favourite lenses for the Yashica manual cameras. Do like that. And then on the front, the only other thing really is the self timer. Now I must confess, I should have read the manual, which I didn't when I took the camera for a spin, and when I first used it, I obviously didn't use it properly because it jams the camera, but what I did learn was that the release for the self-timer is actually this little metal stud, which we rotate, and then that sets the self-timer mechanism, and approximately 10 seconds. There we go. And that's it. So, memory notes to self: always read the manual. Always a good idea. So, turning to the top here, we have the film counter, and just to the left of that, there's a little LED, which is the battery check. And we use the battery check by pressing the black button here, and that confirms that the battery is good. Our film advance and shutter actuation button built into that same mechanism. We then have our exposure check button, which can be turned on and off for long exposures, but is activated when the shutter advance is moved, and then we just have to simply make sure that when we finish, we switch it off, and then we can push the shutter advance back into the camera. Then we also have a little cable release. It's electronic cable release. And then we have, just as I mentioned, it's a aperture priority, so in auto we change the aperture and the camera responds by choosing the correct shutter speed. And if we want to use flash, because it's a hot shoe here, or bulb as well. Looking through the viewfinder, we have the shutter speeds down the right hand side, and the needle moves depending on what aperture we choose. We have, as I say, battery check, and then we have our film speed selector, which we lift up the collar and rotate, and then we can also rotate the collar and dial in some exposure compensation, plus or minus 2. We lift the film rewind crank, and then hopefully that will open the chamber, and then we can put our film, we'll take it out once it's finished. So that's pretty much it really as far as the camera goes. So camera number 377, the Yashica FR2.